Brother Donald Washburn, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you today?
I messed up. It's the real Donald Washburn. I gotta clarify. It's not just Donald Washburn. It's the real Donald Washburn. For those of you who don't follow you, you're heavy on IG, but not really on TikTok.
No, I that's the only one I have right now. I was going to start it. I had a YouTube one years ago and then just kind of let it go. So
I got you. And I respect your time, so I'm gonna dive right into this because I don't want to fuck around and waste any of your time. It's valuable. You have a hell of a story to tell, and I can honestly say, since doing this, and even when talking with people in general, I haven't met somebody or spoken with them face to face who is that close to dying on a chair, ready to end it all, and somebody walks in the room and saves your life. Fair?
It's kind of crazy. It really is. It's kind of surreal. Yeah, I mean, no one was supposed to be where I was, and no call, no text, no nothing, just showed up, and I'm like, literally seconds away from stepping off that thing. It sounds like a movie, but it's crazy.
It is crazy, and I guess we need it. There's everybody has a story. The question is, are you willing to share your story, and what did you learn from your story? So let's start with step one. What's the story? Why were you on that chair, ready to end your life?
So if we go way back to where the real Donald Washburn was, my childhood was, and I know everybody has struggles with their childhood. Mine was, my dad left when I was 6 months old. It was only my mother and my grandmother for a little while tried to raise us, and then she ended up passing away. But my mother worked all the time. She ended up getting married again, and that's when the shit happened. I know we can curse on here, so that's good because I have very colorful language. So it's when the shit happened. I mean, that's when the verbal and the physical and the physical abuse was hidden for a while because my mother had to work 2 and 3 jobs and he was a piece of garbage and wouldn't leave and she couldn't get him out of the house. And then, that's when the psychological, the emotional, the physical abuse started. It was hidden for a while. It was in places where you couldn't really see, or it was pushed around, or it was this, or it was, the fear mongering. And that continued into school. I was always, the fat kid, the ugly kid. I had a learning disability. I was, and I learned to be a victim, and it just continued through. I know I'm kind of speeding through this, so tell me if I'm going a little bit too fast. It's kind of hard. I've never really talked about it except a couple times in therapy, which we'll talk about that in a little bit if you don't mind. But
sure.
It just kind of stemmed from, when I was a teenager, and that's when all the numbing stuff started with, alcohol and drugs and porn, just anything that would take all that off my mind and get me away from reality,
Mm-hmm. What did the abuse look like in the house? So this was stepdad, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so stepdad comes in the picture. Mom, is he abusive towards mom, you said?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And you're watching this.
Yep. And I'm watching, and it ended up, trickling down to me. And like I said, at first it was pushing around and shoving, slapping a little bit. And then it was places where you couldn't really, you couldn't see the bruises and the marks and, and it was horrific,
Was mom not in your defense?
She tried to be. It was more, she was just scared like everybody else was, like I was, and didn't really know what to do about it. He wouldn't leave, and the police, you get called, and then, she was afraid to press charges, and it's just, it's cliche.
Sure. I'm not sure if you follow C.T. Fletcher. He was, okay, so you do. So his story, I actually, when I was in Southern California, went by his gym. He wasn't there. I dropped some stuff off for him. But his story is amazing. So if you watch his documentary on, I think, Amazon, you understand what he went through was agony. And he got to the point, he said, I'm not going to tolerate this any longer. He went out and got a fucking gun.
Yeah.
He went out and bought a gun and said, if that motherfucker lays a hand on my mother one more time or me, I'm going to shoot his ass. I'll probably be in prison for the rest of my life or for a very long time. Well, that never happened, but he was prepared to kill his father because of the abuse that man was putting on his mother and him. So how close were you were you old enough to cause harm to him or not really?
No, not when I was little. As I got older, he was there. I was probably, oh man, I know this sounds funny, but I blocked a lot of it out. And, I had to be 13 when all of it kind of came to a head, and
I gotcha.
Give or take. And then he ended up being out of the picture. But by that time, the damage was done with myself and my mother. And, it was a shit show from there.
Right. So somebody listening right now, because as we go through this, I want you to share some insight, because now you got to give them something, because they are where you were right now.
Right.
Somebody's hearing this saying, oh, fuck, that's where I am right now. the advice you give that person right now is what?
Is you have to find help. Like that was my, I know hindsight's 20/20, but you look back now and I just, like I said, from the time I can remember, I learned to be a victim, and you have to find someone help, whether it be someone at school or someone's parents or something. You have to find help. Someone has to help you. My mother, and I know it's again cliche, but it was just the fear was in us so bad of, being beat up, abused, hurt, killed, or whatever. And it just didn't happen. So someone has to find help somewhere. I don't know if that made sense or not.
But. No, that's exactly the answer I was looking for. Now you got to bring it even more simpler. Who at that point do you wish you would have reached out to?
You know what? I used to be, there's a lot of times where I didn't go home, and after school I'd go to someone's house, and I was that close, but I was so afraid that if somebody said something that I would get abused or my mother would take the brunt of it, or both of us. So, I mean, just that's who I wish I would have reached out to, was confide in someone's parents or a teacher or my friend's parents or a teacher or something.
Mm-hmm. And by law, are you protected? Because now you're a teenager, you're 12, 13. If you go to the cops, if you go to your teacher and they call a police officer, whatever type of officer in the school to talk to you one-on-one, by law, are you protected now? Or are they going to send you back to that toxic environment and get your ass beat again? How does that work?
They will not. No, they will take, you will be taken somewhere and I don't want to say into custody, but you'll be taken somewhere where you won't have to go back to that and face potential harm. So that's where I wish, looking back, I think about it all the time. I'm like, if I would have done this, where would I have been? Where my mother would have been? Where both of us have been?
Yeah.
Here I am, almost 54 years old, and just now trying to build my life back up.
Right. You said you lost. I got your bio here. You said you lost your kids, your career, your self-worth. What moment do you think that hit you the hardest, Donald?
It's kind of hard to talk about, so you're gonna have to bear with me if you don't mind. I apologize.
Oh,
like I said, I've never really spoken about it in length,
sure,
in any kind of public forum or anything. So, the thing with it's always affected me in some way. I would be good for a little bit, and then shit would happen, and then whether you believe in God, the universe, what powers that be, whatever, I was always handed things as far as that goes, like opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff would fall in my lap and I would piss it away. And it makes me angry now just thinking about it. Like I would have, like I had opportunities where I owned my own gym. I had my own little kind of company where I did like motivational things, and it did well, and my gym did very well. And then I would piss it away. It was just things like that, and I lost a marriage, and then it trickled down to where I fell into depression again. I was homeless 3 times in a 5-year span. I lost my relationship with my kids. And that's when the chain around the neck, standing in a chair came into play. And that moment right there was a changer, because if the divine intervention, of whatever you want to call it, of someone walking in at that, what's the chances of that, by the way? You know what I mean? I mean, of all the times to walk in, it would be that time, and no one was supposed to be where I was, and that's kind of when it hit me. I'm like, you know what? I'm supposed to be here, and then you start thinking, I mean, it didn't change overnight, obviously. I mean, it took some time, and I had to rebuild things. And, that's when I had to stop the addictions and the porn and the this and the that, because my relationships, the shit show that I was in my mind, my relationships, I mean, what was trust? Everybody either died or abandoned me. I had my first marriage, I had, they cheated and left with somebody, and, I wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Like I thought in my head from the time I was a child, and it just went like I wasn't good enough and I didn't deserve anything. And that was, rebuilding my life after that, someone walking in and essentially saving my life is what it kind of hit me. And I said, you know what? I'm supposed to be here. I'm worth something. And God forbid, what would my kids have went through if that would have happened? It's bad enough that I put them through what I put them through, and I have to live with that every day. And I'm still building my relationships. It's still tough. My daughter's about to graduate this year. It's still kind of rocky with her. I love her and she loves me, but it's, I was never really there, as painful as that is for me to say. Same thing with my son. My son grew up. My son he's got his own, I have a grandson now. And they live in Georgia, and I've only met him a couple times, but we're still rebuilding that relationship. I hope I'm not rambling. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to.
No, you're good. You're good.
Trying to put it into words, but yeah, that's kind of where it hit me, was when that happened. And then I just started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I put them through enough. Why would I put them, and they just now found out about that part. You know what I mean? So I just kind of opened up and I said, listen, here's where I'm at. Here's what happened. Here's why. Not an excuse. I'm not in any way trying to make an excuse or ask you to, oh my God, that's what happened. I'm going to forgive Dad. I mean, it's going to take time. Still going to build trust,
100%. So they do know. That was my next. You led me right to my next question. All the kids, everybody knows the chair, everything. They know everything. What happened?
Yes, absolutely.
Who took it the hardest, and who was like, oh shit, I see why. Did any of them have a revelation like, oh, it makes sense. I get it. I'm sorry for being hard on you. I had no fucking idea. Was it like that or no?
Yeah. So my son was always the more sensitive one, I guess you would say. And he's the one that kind of went, because we struggled for a while, and because he'll be 26 in August. So yep. He's my oldest. And we when he was little, I tried to be close when we were close. And then I would push him away, because I had issues and I and he's the one that I think took it the hardest and then was like, oh shit, that makes sense. Not that, not that it was, I asked him to forgive me at that time and it wasn't an excuse. He understood, but he understood, you know what I mean? And sure. We're still trying to rebuild that. I'm still trying to, I guess you would say, kind of make up for lost time, I guess. My daughter was a little different. She's a tough little thing, man. She's, like I said, she's 18 and she is what I think I would have been growing up if I'd have had a decent, she did very well with what she had, because she was, she was put through a lot and she's tough. So she understands, but she wasn't as distant, if that makes sense.
She was not as distant.
No. I mean, we had our moments and we didn't talk for a while and then we would talk and then we wouldn't talk for a while, but she was a little better with it than my son was.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's just the female brain, maybe, right? More nurturing, maternal, instinctive.
Could be.
So let me ask, so let's go into the next one. Why aren't more men doing what you're doing right now? Why? And it took you a while. Why are you here? I mean, you just got done saying you haven't talked to anybody about this really openly, except for therapists and family. So why here? Why now?
You know what? I want to make a difference. It's like I reached out to you before and said, I'm not here to motivate people. I'm here to set people on fire. This has to be, and this is why I'm glad I met you. I'm thankful that I met you, is because your story and how you turned it around to help people. We need that. Like more men, like you said, break the fucking stigma, man. I'm so tired of hearing that. Men are supposed to be tough. Men are supposed to be this. Listen, man, I cry on a daily fucking basis. The shit that I think about and the shit that I go through, more men have to get out and go, listen, and therapy. So therapy for me, I'm like you. This is why it hit home with me as well. Therapy for me, I tried it a few times. It didn't really work for me because I kept picking that fucking scab. You know what I mean? The wound's not going to heal if I keep picking at it. For me, it didn't work because I had to keep reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for everybody. It might work for some folks. For me, it did not. But get help wherever you can. Talk about it. Deal with it. Face it. It's just the men are scared to talk about it, and it's got to fucking stop. It's got to stop. I mean, how many men are on that chair and God forbid nobody walked in? You know what I mean? So that I am here to, like you, I'm here to spread the word however I can and be some sort of inspiration. If I can help one or two people, hey man, I've done my job.
Exactly. Who walked in? Who was the person that walked in and saved you that day?
So it's a guy that I'd known for, oh my God, 17 years, give or take. Yeah. And we had been kind of distant as well. And we hadn't talked in a while, and he had been texting me and I never texted him back. And he just wanted to see what the fuck happened, and voila,
Take us back to that day for a minute. How long ago was this?
Oh man, this is 2007, give or take. It's been a while.
18 years ago.
No, not 7. No, I apologize. 2017. No.
8 years ago.
Let's see. 7, 16. Yeah, something like that. It's right before. I would say 2016. I apologize. I'm trying to think of when I just finally got my shit together and got a job, because I didn't have one, because I was bouncing around and trying to survive and be homeless. You know what I mean? Sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's 2016, 2017, about 8 years ago.
Right around there. And that was, I had just hit, I just got tired of being up and down. You know what I mean? I would max stuff and feel good. And then it just got to me. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I can't handle this anymore. I don't want to live like this. If I have to go back to this, I'm done, and what am I worth anyway? I thought, my kids hate me. I have nothing going for me. I don't have a job. I don't have a house. I don't have a car. I don't have shit. And I'm like, so fuck it. And then, like I said, that happened and he walked in and then I'm like, it was, and people are like, well, you step off the chair anyway. I think I was more in shock than I was anything. Cause I'm like,
wait, what did you say? People said what?
People had asked me, oh, I'm sorry. I ramble a lot. I have ADHD. So sorry. So people had asked me, well, why didn't you just step off the chair anyway? I mean, I was more in shock anything when the door opened. You know what I mean? It was more like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, what the fuck, and then he starts talking like, what are you doing? And think of your kids. And we just started, I stepped down and we started talking. It's like, man, your life is worth it. There are people that love you. I love you. Your kids love you. No matter what you think the situation is with your children love you and need you, and that's when it kind of hit me. I'm like, what's that going to do to my children? I've already put them through enough,
Well, that makes sense. But what doesn't make sense to me, what you said prior to that, somebody asked you why you didn't just step off the chair and kill yourself anyway with him there. So
I had a couple people after asking me that, and I don't talk to those folks anymore, just so you're aware, because
who asked you this? Who asked you that?
So there was somebody I used to work with years ago that I kind of kept in touch with, and they're like, "What? That's if you really want, this is what pissed me off. So this is why I don't talk about this much either." It's like, well, if you really wanted to do it, you would have stepped off that chair anyway. I'm like, who the fuck says that to somebody? First of all, right? Like it's that's when you just want to start punching people in the face. I hate to say it like that, but that's what I thought. But I'm like, who fucking says that to somebody? And but that's where the. I really did want to do it, but I really didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? I thought I didn't have anything else. I thought I didn't have any other way. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? I thought I was just fucking worthless and, I didn't deserve anything. And, I was no good to anybody. But that's when, like I said, he was like, dude, people love you. I love you. So I don't have my mother passed away years and years and years ago. So it was only my mother and I don't have any, I was an only child. She was an only child. I don't have any family pretty much. And that's when he said, he goes, we are your fucking family. He goes, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I've been trying to get in touch with you. You can reach out to me. And that's when I thought, do I want to burden other people? And what are they going to think of me if I talk about this? And you know what I mean? So that's and that's the stigma you're trying to break as well. And that's what we need.
Okay. So I'm going to pull something up here because there's a statistic I just posted a couple days ago. Okay. And this is going to take me my next question with you. All right. So here it says turn this down. Over 49,000 people died by suicide in the year 2023. Okay. That's one death every 11 minutes. The reason I'm saying that to you is because somebody listening right now may be where you were, thinking about it, contemplating about it, maybe where I was, standing in the mirror with that gun in my hand. They have to understand, okay, here you are, ready to end it all. You didn't end it all because somebody walked in and saved your life. Now, why don't you be the guy who walked in to somebody else right now on this podcast, in this interview, and share what you're going to tell them because they need to hear it. They may be at their wits' end.
Yeah.
So now you have the opportunity to pay it forward what somebody did for you. What are you going to share with them?
Yeah, you are worth something. Your life is worth something. There are people that love you, whether you have kids, family, but you got to love yourself as well. Like, you have to go get help. There are people that will help you. There will people that will stand by your side. You got to find your tribe, and you've got to get help, because I love you. Brett loves you. You're not alone. You are not by yourself.
I got to the point, literally, it was so bad. I said to myself, literally, now I see why people kill themselves. I understood it.
Yeah.
And when 99% of me was trying to take myself out, there was that 1% I kept feeding hope and hope and hope to. And that's why I launched this channel. That's what I'm doing. What I'm doing is feeding, because if they're listening, they're alive. You're still here. There's hope. So I have to do this in a way that I want to share encouragement. I want to share possibilities. I want to share hope, because of where I've been, I would never be able to do this ever if I had mild depression. I just think about this day. I came over to the gym, taking a shower, thinking, you know what? I would never be doing this. I'm about to jump on a podcast with somebody who almost killed himself. right? Standing in a chair, had the chain, everything go. I'd never be sitting here talking to you if I didn't go through what I went through. And in this conversation, who the hell knows who we're going to help?
Right.
Right. And I would have never been doing this if I would have had mild depression. I would have got, because I did have mild, periodically, I had my waves of mild depression, and I learned how to cope with it. Like most people are coping with it right now by distractions, by drinking, drugs, whatever they're doing just to numb it. I did the same thing for many years. But when my life circumstances got so overwhelming, intense, the coping skills that I was using fell the fuck apart. And that's when I hit rock bottom. And that's why I was contemplating suicide on a daily basis. So they're hearing from somebody, you and me both, who've been perhaps where they are. And I'm going to say this to them, to their face, is that there is hope for you. You have to understand, and you have to believe in the power of infinite possibilities.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. And even now, I mean, I still struggle with things now, and I still, I hate to use this term, but I still backslide a little bit, you know what I mean? And even my relationship now, like I have my fiance now is phenomenal, but every now and then I slip back into the, I'm not good enough, and I'm not this, and why is she with me? And that shit enters my head, and I still struggle with some kind, like, and I'm going to admit this out loud, I still struggle with not feeling good enough, and I still struggle with porn and things like that. And she has, God bless her, she is a godsend, because she knows all the shit, and she knows I'm I'm fucked up like a soup sandwich, but she's there and she's beside me, and she's like, listen, we will get through this shit, man. So, and I've known her for a long time, and we ended up getting together, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now. And she's been with me through a lot, and she's still here. And I feel bad for her, because I put her through some things too. And she's always been there, even as a friend years ago.
Do you understand why, as I'm listening to your story, I'm hearing, listening, and feeling at the same time? And do you understand why you are in the cycle you're currently in? Do you understand why you had the gym and you let it go to shit? The motivational speaking, let it go to, do you understand why you feel that way and what you were doing and why you were doing it? Are you consciously aware of what was going on, or no?
You mean right, like as of right now?
Even today, when you say I still backslide, do you understand why you're doing that?
You know what? I kind of, you know what I mean? I hate to say it like that, but I mean, it's just, I just started, it's only been a few years since that happened, and I started getting my life together, and it's gone in stages, and it's progressively getting better. It's all those, this is what I feel in my heart. You know what I mean? I just think it's all those years of, I had 40 plus years of almost 50 years of feeling worthless and useless. And like I said, learning disability. And I mean, it just, you name it. And the abuse and the victim. And, I played the victim for over 40 years, and it's hard to overcome that, but I'm waking up every day. I start my day. I try to 99% of the time I start my day the same way, and it's not just, affirmations are great. Don't get me wrong. I still do them, but you can't count on all that. I mean, you really have to talk to yourself, and self-reflection is a big thing for me. I do that daily. Listen, what did I do today? How did I feel today? Journaling. I'm still trying to completely break that victim mentality. It's tough. Like I said, it's been 40 plus years, but with the things that I've gone through and the steps I'm taking in my fiance, I mean, it's 80% better than it was even a year ago.
Are you open to me sharing some insight?
So, I'm sorry.
Are you open to me sharing a little insight?
Absolutely. Please.
So when I listen to people and talk with them, my darkest hours, years of depression from 2019 to 2024, almost like clockwork. I remember right around Easter 2019, feeling like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble. And then right around March, April of 2024, I was like, wait a minute. And since then, since it went away, I'm not bullshitting anybody here. Since it's gone away, it's never come back. And I hear people saying they have relapses, they fall back, they slip and slide. And I'm thinking, and I almost feel like I don't want to fucking jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. But that's so stupid, me saying that. I know what I did, and I know why. My heart knows why I'm not slipping. And if I share it with somebody, I'm not expecting you to believe me. I'm just asking if you're willing to listen to it, because I know in my heart of hearts where I was. And I know that I cured suicidal depression. I didn't just get to the point where I just wasn't feeling bad, and so I was coping. I actually got to the point where I'm feeling amazing with 0% depression. And I remember when I went to the first time I was in Colorado, I had to go see a mental health therapist, a therapy center. I was going to go on a daily basis, sign up for this whole program. Medical director, doctor, pill pusher says, what we're going to do is get you on some medication right away, because what depression, getting to the root, curing depression, or it's not a cure. He says, basically saying it's not a cure. The goal with depression is just to not feel bad. I'm like, here's a doctor getting ready to tell me that the goal is just not to feel bad. He's telling all his patients this. I'm like, that didn't bode well with me. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to get better. Anyway, what I'm saying to you is that the reason I believe I'm not experiencing any more depression at all is because the way I worked up here. I rewired this to the point where now I went from depression free to depression proof. How? Because of the fact of the work I've done, and understand that my brain, well, it's conditioned to a feeling. If you're drinking, smoking, porn, working, shopping, whatever you're doing as a habit, it becomes familiar. Like brushing your teeth with your familiar hand. It's a habit. When you're not doing that, the brain says, fuck you, I need it back. I need that. It goes through withdrawals. So we keep going back. We keep going back to that familiar feeling to feed the brain the chemicals in the brain need that. So if you can have a pattern interruption, completely break that habit of being yourself, which I learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza, the man who saved my life, then what happens is your brain is now rewired to the point where it's not going to need that feeling anymore. But it takes the work and effort. And that's where I feel like my disciplines come into play so heavily, by being consistent on a daily basis. Like you, I wasn't going to stay in that situation. I was going to either take myself out with the gun, the knife, or the pills, or I was going to get through it. I could never live in that state of being. So that's why I'm on the other side of it, how I did it. And I think the discipline that I put in play is actually what got me to be depression proof. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I started, and I got that book by Dr. Joe Dispenza because of you. Like when I found you and I saw the video you did on the book, and I bought that book, and I need to get through it and start all the process, what I need to do. So yeah.
He has a great video that I played. I probably, if it was a record, I would have put new grooves in the record. I played that video so much. It's called Becoming Supernatural. It's on YouTube, and it's a guided meditation where he's guiding you through about an hour guided meditation. And I would listen to the first 30 minutes, first 4 to 6 weeks, and then I'd alternate, go to the last 30 minutes for the next 4 to 6 weeks. I did that for years. Mm-hmm. And what that did is started to rewire the brain. Neuroplasticity is real. It's the real deal. So now my brain is now depression proof. And there's not a doctor, a therapist, a neurologist on this planet that could tell me any differently. That's what I did to my brain. And that's why I'm not experiencing any more depression. Am I human? Do I have feelings? Yeah. When my son acts up and I take a little bit of a guilt because I feel, what could I have done better? Sure, I get that, but I'm not depressed or anxious at all. So I would highly suggest that.
I apologize. Yeah. And I just bought the day before yesterday, I purchased one of the meditations, the hour one. So I need to get through Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I went on his website and I got the one the first part of his book where it says, the meditation. So the hour one. So I just purchased that one. I haven't done it yet. So that was like a couple days ago.
I got you. It's free on YouTube for anybody who hasn't purchased it. So the dominant feeling always wins. The dominant feeling, the subconscious mind works on feelings. It's not going to tell you yes, right, no. It's going to work off a feeling. So whatever you turn into a feeling, it's going to be acted upon. Whatever is impressed will be expressed. And another book I'm going to highly recommend is Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard, Feeling is the Secret, and At Your Command. 2 books are life-changing. So what you have to give yourself, I'm sure you're at a point now where you look back and say, man, I feel pretty good where I'm at. I feel that I've gotten far. You give yourself props?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even if I look back a couple years now, I'm like, man, I was probably 50% of what I am now. So, and again, that's a lot of help from my fiance, because she's always there going, listen, man, you're fucking up. You need to do better. Or like, if she's like, attaboy, So I get the cheers and the jeers from her, and that helps a ton, man. I'm telling you, she's been a godsend. She's in my corner, and she helps a lot.
That's amazing. That's totally amazing. As somebody listening right now, and says, "Hey, Donald, what do you do? What's your daily non-negotiables?" If they follow you on IG, they see you working out like a fucking madman with all those heavy bags and everything else. But what is that? I know that's part of it. What else is your daily non-negotiable that has to keep you? And I tell people, stop trying, start training. Start training the brain to become better. So what's your training process look like in addition to the working out physically?
So my thing is that I work pretty long hours. I work at a hospital right now. So the hours are kind of, it depends. It could be 10 hours. It could be 14 hours. It could be 8 hours. So I try to get up at the same time. My non-negotiable is it's between 4:15 and 4:30. And a lot of times I don't need an alarm, but 4:15, 4:30, I get up and I do something, and I know there's a lot of people get a lot of shit for it, but it's either a cold shower or a cold plunge. And that has helped me a lot as far as the dopamine and everything goes. So that helped curb a lot of things. And then I either go for a ruck or I go for a workout early in the morning, depending on what the day is or what the workout is. If it's just a couple of cardio sessions a day, I go for 45-minute ruck in the morning, and then in the afternoon I try to do some kind of workout. And then my absolute non-negotiable is self-reflection every single day, good, bad, or indifferent. Did I do well today? Was I a fuck up today? Did I do this well? Did I not do that? What could I do better? That is one thing that I will not skip. Whether I skip a workout, which I try not to, but sometimes, like you said, life happens. My non-negotiable is there's self-reflection in there somewhere.
Right on. And you said ruck twice. Did I hear you say R-U-C-K?
Yeah, ruck. I'm sorry. Like, the weighted backpacks and stuff.
That's what you do in the morning.
Yeah, you almost always. If not, and depending on how my body feels from a tough workout the night before, I might just go for a walk, but it's 45 minutes of something.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I understand you're disciplined. You like discipline, and you set the bar pretty high. At the same time, do you think part of that discipline comes from the how you were raised? Like David Goggins, you and I both follow Goggins, right?
Oh yeah.
So I don't think he'd be the person he is. I mean, he's got a lot of accomplishments, but look at the childhood he endured.
Yeah.
Right. He endured his father was, extremely abusive.
Oh yeah.
He turned that into something positive. Right. So now are at the same time, your childhood made you who you are today. At the same time, are you loving that part of you that needs the love that wasn't given to you as a kid?
Yeah, and what's funny is, and not that I'm trying to compare myself to Goggins in any way, but there are times where I'm halfway through a workout and I beat the shit out of myself. I do. And there are times where I'm like, man, I've got 20 minutes left. Who's going to fucking know if I just walk? And then I start look at the shit that I survived. I can't survive the rest of this bullshit. So, I kind of feed upon that a little bit. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but it's worked for me so far. If that's I think about things a lot, and I'm like, if I can fucking survive that, man, why can't I finish this workout, or why can't I do this, or why can't I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So
you had mentioned to me in one of our conversations through text is that you have a hard time sitting with yourself still. Did I read that correctly? You have a hard time sitting with yourself and being still?
When I said still, man, that's when everything, my mind just starts. I try to do something, whether it's work. I mean, again, is it healthy? Who knows? But it helps me. If I sit still, man, even the self-reflection, my mind has to focus on one thing, because if I sit still and it starts wondering, I'm screwed. That's when the anxiety kicks in. That's when all the bullshit, the voices come in, and it's tough for me to sit with myself, but it's getting better. It's slowly getting better. Even over the last couple of years, it's still tough, but it's slowly getting better. But the second I stop and my mind starts wondering, it's bad.
Yeah, I relate. And I got through. It was so bad at a point where I couldn't stand in a conversation with somebody for more than 2 or 3 minutes. I had to walk away. And that was in that period of time between 2019 and 2024. Prior to 2019, I could sit in conversation and talk with somebody. But when I got hit, I had to walk away. I felt just painful anxiety. So what I think is going to help you a lot is what helped me is that when you go through that Dispenza's video and that meditation, it will rewire the brain if you allow it to. It'll allow it to rewire the brain to the point you can actually sit. Like I could sit here, whereas before I couldn't be in the house by myself because of how I felt. Now, after going through that, rewiring the brain, neuroplasticity, I'm fine with it. Do I still feel sometimes I just got to feel like I want to be productive? Sure. But it's not, and I'm not agonized by sitting still. I do it every morning. I've been doing it every morning in meditations, walking meditation, affirmations, and breathing exercises. Do you do breathing? I was going to ask you about that. You do Wim Hof?
No, you know what? I had when I started reading Dr. Joe Dispenza's book that I saw that you had recommended, I really need to start incorporating that more. I think that's going to help me a lot.
1,000%. I think that's going to put the cherry on top for you. I really do believe that. I believe that's because you got this far, and I believe with his work, practicing it, applying it, you're going to see life-changing results. As I have, the man saved my life, and I know how bad I was. Wim Hof. Do you do the Iceman? I know you do. You said you do the cold plunges and showers. Do you follow him, Wim Hof, and do his breathing techniques?
I have. It's funny you said that because in the last probably week and a half, I just started following him on Instagram.
Have you?
So I'd really like to go through and see. I've heard that's when I saw the Wim Hof breathing and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in trying that, especially before or after, or even during the cold plunge.
Yeah, he's amazing. I've tried his techniques a few times. I'm not knocking it for just some reason. It hasn't clicked. I'm not giving up on it, but it hasn't clicked yet. I have an app on my phone, and there's an app called I Breathe. And then James Nestor has a book called Breathe. And in this book, it's a phenomenal read, by the way. The first part of the book is basically a story. He tells his life story, but at the end of the book, he shares techniques and practices, how to put in place, and that can actually help you immensely. They gave me this thing, the sleep apnea machine, the CPAP. Mm-hmm. I don't have apnea. I don't use the machine because of the way I trained myself to start breathing properly. My mouth taper. I tape the mouth closed at night, and I do the breathing exercises. On this app called I Breathe, I set it for 5.5 seconds inhale, 5.5 seconds exhale. In James Nestor's book, Breathe, he recommends that's the optimal breathing pattern. In 5.5, out 5.5. So every single morning, I don't care where I am in the country, I'm doing that breathing technique. It's life-changing to get your body in that rhythm, because a lot of times mitochondria and the way our body's set up needs to have that certain amount of oxygen, and you're breathing through your mouth at night. That's not good. So I tape my mouth closed through the nose. So yeah, I would highly recommend that.
Breathe. I was looking into the mouth tape as well. I was, because I have problems with, wake up in the middle of the night and my doctor's like, you got a sleep test, you probably have apnea. And they were talking about the CPAP as well. I was like, I don't want to deal with the CPAP. So I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, and I swear, once I started it, I said, I'm not stopping this. Literally, I just love how I feel when I wake up in the morning, because I know, and there's been studies, when you breathe through your nose, it's a healthier way to live, actually. And now on the treadmill, I keep my mouth closed. A 1 hour walking meditation, mouth closed through the nose. So it really is making a difference. What's the best part about being you? The best part about looking back 12 months ago, where you were along your journey, and being right here, right now, what do you love about being you at this present moment?
You know what? I love that I have put myself out there and got the opportunity, first of all, to meet you. And I appreciate you're a real inspiration. Your story is amazing. And I don't mean, you know what I mean by amazing? Like you overcame, and the way you're building this platform to help people is a real inspiration. And I have the opportunity to maybe do something similar, as far as the more of us that reach out, that reach out to other folks like us to get help and let them know you're not alone. I mean, that's, for me right now, the relationship with my children, building my relationship with my fiance that I have in the last 12 months, and just having an opportunity to maybe help a couple people, man, because we got to break that fucking stigma, like you say. So that's where I'm at in the last year. And the next year, I have been wanting to start speaking to podcasts. I don't know, 2-3 years ago, and then I let that shit to bed too. I had wanted to start a podcast. It was called Being Perfectly You, and it's just about being you. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to say, listen, man, here's who I am. Here's what I've been through, and put it out there and let people know, man, this is where I'm at, and do I need help? And I'll reach out for help. And right. I've been wanting to do that, and I think that's something I want to do in the next 6 months to a year, is to maybe start that back up.
You are making a difference. I shared this on one of my previous videos. I was at the store. I was at a super center about a month ago. I had, by the way, nice shirt. Where'd you get that shirt, man? I love that shirt.
I appreciate you, by the way. I don't have my bracelet on because I just got through working out and I didn't want to. I was doing a bunch of cable stuff and I didn't want to rip it off. So
I hear you. There's more where that came from if you ever need one. I was at a super center the other day, had had one of these shirts on, and a lady was walking out of the super center. I was walking out. She was walking in. Long story short, didn't want to wait in the long ass line. So I went to a smaller register towards the back of the store. And because I did that, I met her at the perfect time. I'm walking out. She's walking in. Her sweatshirt hoodie says something about mental health. Then I turn around as we pass and I read the back of her shirt. It says break the stigma. I'm like, okay, this is a sign. I got to stop. I said, excuse me. She stops. She turns around. I said, I just saw your sweatshirt, something about mental health. I said, have you, and as we're walking closer, and we're walking closer, I said, have you experienced mental health? And she stopped, like she almost like a deer in headlights, and she started tearing up. She says, every day. I'm like, fuck. I said, you know what? I got goosebumps right now. I said, this is not coincidence. I said, I am on the other side of some major suicidal depression. I'm launching some platforms, breaking the stigma, supporting the cause. I said, you ever just want to some inspiration, encouragement, just check out one of the channels. And I turned around. I said, here's my channels right here. And I showed the back of my shirt. She goes, oh my God, thank you so much. And she took a picture of it. And she goes, I'm going to go watch it tonight. So who knows, man? Who knows? That's one person because I had a t-shirt on. You never know I don't know who's on the other side of this video watching right now, who we're impacting, because not everybody's going to say, hey, by the way, you know what? You just helped save my life. People don't actually, there's people who say, man, I'm feeling better since I've been following you. But a lot of times they're not expressing that to you, but you never know whose life you're impacting. Just like you, man. That shirt you have on right there, wherever you are with that shirt, who knows? You take it to the gym or the store, or whatever, just speaking your truth helps people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, like I said, my little videos or my little, working out or whatever. I mean, even interacting with you. I mean, you just never know. And my goal in the next 6 months to a year is to put something out there to where I'm better able to help those that are like us,
Right. So as we wrap this up and bring it in for a landing, what does bold mean to you? What is the definition of bold? How are you bold, and how have you applied it to your situation to make you a better person?
You know what? I bold is so many things. You know what I mean? There's such a big definition of bold, but I think bold is for me is overcoming what I have and being brave enough to put myself out there and tell my story and being authentic. And here's my vulnerabilities. And hopefully somebody can say, listen, here's a man. He's in his 50s and he's a manly man, however you want to call it. But I'm not afraid to go, listen, man, here's what I got going on. Here's where I'm vulnerable. Here's my issues. And just tell my story and put myself out there. And listen, man, you are not alone. I'm going through the same thing that you went through, the same thing that somebody else is going through. And I just want to tell my story and help others,
Yeah. No, there's real strength and vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a strength. And here's what I say. I guess I'll try to say this tactfully, is that anybody who has anything to say about you, anybody who's actually challenged with mental health, first of all, is not worth giving a shit about anyway. That's just how I feel. And I mean that with all respect. I don't mean that as a cocky, in an arrogant way. I just feel that their opinion about who I am and what I've experienced doesn't mean anything to zero. Like there's 0% has effect on myself. Now, because secondly, do you realize how many people are challenged by mental health issues? I would say it's 1 out of 3 people. It's pretty much you in your circle of friends. You talk to somebody, either they have had challenges, or they know somebody very close that has. So it's very common. So for anybody to have a stigma, nobody who's been challenged by it and nobody who's content with themselves is going to give you shit about having any challenges with mental health. Zero. Never will happen. And the people who are giving you shit, either, like I said, they're lying that they never had it, or they're just flat out ignorant.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and I learned, I don't know if this sounds right or not, or however you want to put it, but I had to learn empathy, you know what I mean? Because for years you know, it was never taught to me, and I never knew what it was. You know what I mean? So I had to relearn or learn it, you know, to be empathetic, and so I can kind of, I can't say I can relate to those folks, but I mean, like I said, for somebody to say, well, if you really want to do it, you step off that chair anyway. Fuck you. I haven't talked to that person, you know, sorry, but it just, that's how I feel about that, you know? And so I feel the same way you do. Fuck those people. I don't want to deal with them. So.
No. And you're, you know, the ego wants it. The ego, well, especially as, I guess, as a male, you want to say, come on, motherfucker, let's go. But that soul says you feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
If they're at that point in their life where they're saying something like that, think where that's coming from. It's not coming from a healthy place. It's coming from a place that's ignorant and probably there's a lot of hurt in themselves as well to say something like that to somebody else.
Right.
It's not an intelligent way to say. It's not an intelligent thing to say or a healthy way to live. So if you can see that and recognize that that's not coming from a healthy, valid source, then now, like you said, you're empathetic towards that person rather than having rage towards that person.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Took me a long time to learn that, but you know, I'm in a good place with that, at least, you know?
Yeah. And there's a lot to say about that. So the best thing about being you right now, the best thing about being you is your vulnerability. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, to be able to share that and show other men that, hey man, it's okay to be vulnerable, you know?
All right. It is. And we need more men on this podcast. And I've had some good ones, and I'm spreading the word, and they're out there. We'll get them. Yeah. We're going to share and open up because I think it's going to create a lot of good waves, a lot of healthy waves by doing that, opening up and sharing. Right?
Agreed. 100%.
All right, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day up there how's the weather up there? You're upstate New York, right?
Yeah, it's a little chilly and rainy. It's in the 50s. So
as I look outside down here in Central Florida, it's 80s and rainy. So
and rain. Probably humid.
That's it. All right, man. Appreciate having you. Stay strong. Be you. And you guys give me your handle. Tell them how to find you on IG.
It's at The Real Donald W.
At The Real Donald W.
Right? Yep.
All right, brother. Be fucking bold. I'll catch you guys in the next video.
You too, brother. Appreciate it.
Over and out. Bye-bye.
Bye.